If our members would please find their seats and our guests find a seat in the gallery. Good morning and welcome to the regular meeting of the Will County Board for Thursday, June 20th, 2019. We call this meeting to order. If everyone will please stand, and County Board Member Gloria Dollinger will lead us in the pledge and then introduce the clergy this morning for our invocation.
Good morning. Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This morning I have the honor of introducing Sister Dolores Zemont. She is a sister of the St. Francis of Mary Immaculate in Joliet. Sister Dolores was born and raised in Chicago, the Pilsen area. She came to Sisters of St. Francis in 1979. She has held positions as a senior counselor at St. Francis Academy, USF Campus Ministry, pastoral associate at St. Mary's Mokina, and is currently president of the Sisters of St. Francis since 2012. Sister Dolores enjoys cooking, reading, golf, and being outside. She also has ventured in some downhill skiing and is driven at the Audubon. And she also participates in the Will Grundy Medical Clinic fundraisers. Sister lives upon the theory of go and rebuild the church. She carries those Franciscan values of respect, compassion, service, and integrity. I have the honor of having her as a fellow Rotarian in the Joliet area and also work with her at the University of St. Francis. So I'd like to welcome Sister Dolores.
And I will be driving at the Audubon again this year. Just thought I'd let you know. Okay, let's just take a moment and take a deep breath and bring ourselves to this moment in time, to this place, to the presence of each other. God, our Creator, God of wisdom, the men and women of this Will County Board have been given a sacred responsibility. With confidence and trust, the people of this county have raised them to these positions of servant leadership. As they look not only to the business of this day, but anticipate the future of this fast-growing and developing county, help them to seek your guiding spirit, to work together through your inspiration to move us into the unfolding future of this county. Call them to continue to be dreamers, women and men of vision, and give them the strength, courage, wisdom, and integrity to bring their visions and dreams to reality. Nothing is beyond their reach if done together for the common good of all. Let all that they do be born out of their faith, a commitment to serve their people, and emanate from the guidance of your Spirit. I join with them this day in giving thanks for all that has been, and filled with anticipation and hope, look forward to what is still a dream in their minds and hearts, a future yet to be. Your guidance and presence with and among them will be a beacon for the future, always calling them to more. We pray all this with confidence and trust in you, our loving and creating God. Amen.
Amen. Oh, sister. Sister. You go up. Oh, no. Okay, sorry. Go say hi. Thank you. He was standing waiting for you by me.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Perry. Here. Frizzalone. Here. Ogala. Here. Summers. Here. Cook. Here. Moostis. Here. Moran. Rice. Here. Harris. Here. Trainier. Here. Fritz. Mueller. Here. Gould. Here. Van Dyne. Here. Balich. Here. Brooks. Happy to be here. Parker. Here. Ventura. Dollinger. Here. Markham. Here. Berkowitz. Here. Cowan. Here. Tuminello. Here. Weigel. Here. Carlitis. Here. Winfrey.
Here. 25 present.
25 present. We have a quorum. Motion to place on file certificate of publication. Moved by Mr. Van Dyne, second by Ms. Cook. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Ferry.
Yes.
Frizzalone.
Yes.
Ogala.
Yes.
Summers.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Moostis. Rice. Harris.
Yes.
Trainier.
Yes.
Fritz. Mueller.
Yes.
Gould. Van Dyne.
Yes.
Balich.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Ventura.
Yes.
Dollinger.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Cowan.
Yes.
Tuminello.
Yes.
Weigel.
Yes.
Carlitis.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes. 25 affirmative.
25 affirmative, motion carried. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Will County Board recess meeting, May 16, 2019. Moved by Mr. Ballard, second by Ms. Summers. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll call by Ms. Berkowitz and second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carries. Next up is a motion to for approval minutes of the executive session and in county board minutes on May 19th, 16th. So moved. Lori, second by Mr. Markham. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Ventura and second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried. Madam Clerk, please call up and acknowledge the elected officials and the media that are present this morning.
Okay, today we have a lot of elected officials here. We have Circuit Clerk Andrea Lynn Chasteen, County Executive Larry Walsh, County Clerk Lawrence Daly Ferry, Recorder of Deeds Karen Stuckel, Sheriff Mike Kelly, State's Attorney James Glasgow, Superintendent of Schools Sean Walsh, and State Senator Jennifer Bertino Tarrant. For the media, we have Nick Ryer from the Farmers Weekly Review, Alice Fabre for the Southtown, and we have Megan Horstad from the Times Weekly.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, honorary resolutions, proclamations. Well, County Board Member Winfrey and County Board Member Brooks will come to the podium and present following some checks. Everybody likes to get a check.
They do.
Ready?
First up, we have Community Lifeline Ministries for their summer fair. I believe Lou Ann Johnson is here to receive. All the money that we are presenting this morning is due to a partnership we have with Waste Management, and so we have Dale Hoekstra with us also this morning. Right here. You can see it, right? Okay. It's Luann Johnson, representing Community Lifeline Ministries, which holds, excuse me, which holds the South End Community Fair every year down at Second Baptist Church, which of course is in District 8, so we thank her.
I would like to thank the county board. And the South End Community Fair is a collaboration between Second Baptist Church, Sacred Heart Church, All Nations, and St. Mark's. We came together to try to provide community services to community and some fun for the summer. Thank you.
Just checking, I get 10% cut.
Yeah.
I'll take it to your car for you.
Okay. We'll mount.
Next up, we have Including You. That festival started last year, was its initial start. This is the second year that it's doing that. We have with us this morning Julia Alexander and it looks like Isaiah Williams Jr. I have my glasses on. That is, okay. And they are doing a collaboration. It will be July 27th in downtown Joliet. And they are a service organization that is put together to raise funds to give to other community organizations. So this is their second year in business, and we're very happy this morning to be able to present them with a check. Hey, Julia. I already said hi to you, young ranger.
We would like to thank the Will County. Including You is a not-for-profit charitable organization that is raising proceeds every year to give to other not-for-profit organizations that's serving our community. And we are grateful that we're able to do this. And with your help, I think we can continue this. I am Julia Alexander, the president. This is Isaiah Williams Jr. He's our vice president. So once again, thank you all very much. You're giving me the money.
I'm giving it out there. Since you don't go to church, you know I get it.
We're going to step forward and do the picture. Step up.
Did you get my good sign?
That might take a while. We don't have that much
time. Our next recipient is the National Hookup of Black Women Incorporated, the Joliet chapter. And we are funding this morning their early learning program, which is a part of their Reading for Life mandate. They are buying books for children, pre-K through grade 2, I believe it is, to get them started with reading, for them to understand the importance of reading in their lives. Literacy is really fundamental, and we're thankful to have them this morning. Come on down. With us is Deb Upshaw, who is the president of the Joliet chapter, and Deb Summers, who is responsible for the Reading for Life program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On behalf of the National Hookup of Black Women Incorporated, the Joliet chapter, we're celebrating 28 years in the community, and we thank the Will County Board and the Will County for helping us and partnering with us to make Will County a more literate community. Thank you.
Special thanks again for the children. Wish we could have the pictures of every child that receives a book and says, "This is mine." They really get excited about it. So thank you so much.
And last but not least is the YMCA, and it's the YMCA on Briggs Street, the Smith YMCA. And what they are doing is putting a playground in a community that does not have one. So children are not crossing Briggs Street. Children from that area will have a safe, colorful place to play right in the neighborhood. So we thank them for wanting to do that project, and we're very happy to fund that this morning. Come on down, led by Donnie Chestnut with a crew from the Y. And I'll let her make the introductions. Donnie.
Good morning. Well, this is the Smith Family YMCA team. Of course, we're led by Jim Watts, our CEO for the Greater Joliet YMCA. And we're just so honored and thankful to be receiving this donation. Our Smith Family YMCA, of course, we're all about youth development. And you're making this happen. It's a community effort, actually, because Laraway School was kind enough to donate the equipment to us. And we have another entity was kind enough to go extract the equipment to bring it to us. And now you are making it happen. I can't wait for the kids to see this. We've been a staple in the east side of Joliet since 1978 over there on Briggs Street. And it's hard to believe we didn't have a playground. But now we will, thanks to your generosity. Jim?
I want to say thanks as well, and we have a lot of our crew. There are staff still back at the Y, but we all came to say thank you. Our strong calling in Joliet is to help develop children, and many of the values that were mentioned in the invocation, we want to love these kids and come alongside schools and parents and help them develop to their full potential. Really build character. So the camp is not the end goal. Building character is our main goal. So we thank you for being partners with us, and we're a joy to be here. Thank you.
Now, who gets the check?
Julie, you are too funny. She's,
Well, can I introduce them all here? Because we have Mike Taylor, he's our athletics. And we have Araceli Rubio is our membership, so anything about membership she knows. Of course, we happy to have representation from our board, Adam Underhill. We have Tim Brewer, who's our maintenance, along with Jim Awe. And then with our before school and after school program, we have Dara Callahan. And of course, with our youth and family service, we have Taryn Fear. So we're just so grateful and very thankful. Thank you. How did I miss Julie? Where's Katie? Oh. Julie Wilkinson, and of course, Katie LaCare here.
might have to go this way. Maybe have him come up in front.
Yeah, double up behind that.
Everybody get in. Send us pictures. Will you send us pictures? I'll post them. Okay, perfect. Katie's going to get it.
Everybody receiving checks, those you don't know, this is Bill Oakstruck, Waste Management, and he helped make it all possible. Thank you.
Next up, County Board member Beth Rice is going to recognize our former County Board member for his service, Don Moran.
Good morning, County Executive Walsh and fellow County Board members. I would like to read into record a certificate for Don Moran. In appreciation for your nearly 7 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Will County as County Board member, as well as Chair and Vice Chair of the Public Works and Transportation Committee, Vice Chair of the Capital Improvements Committee, and service on the Executive Committee and Legislative and Policy Committee. Dated this 20th day of June, 2019, and I so move.
Second.
Yep. Is she done? Move.
Yes.
Yeah, you so move?
I so move.
Yeah, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried. Thank you, Beth.
Okay, and I just wanted to mention, we will be mailing a plaque to Don in his new home in Arizona. Couple offers to hand deliver it, but I think as of now, it's going to be mailed.
Thank you. All resolutions approved at the May 16, 2019 County Board meeting have been signed by the county executive. New business, first up is Land Use and Development Committee. Mr. Markham, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Executive, and good morning to everybody. I'd like to move to open the public hearing for all land use cases.
Moved by Mr. Markham, second by Ms. Cook. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Ferry?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Ogala?
Yes.
Summers?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Moostis? Rice? Harris?
Yes.
Trainier? Fritz? Mueller?
Yes.
Gould? Van Dyne?
Yes.
Balich?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Ventura?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Berkowitz?
Yes.
Cowan?
Yes.
Tumanello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Carlitis?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes. 24 affirmative.
24 affirmative. We are in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. We have three cases to be heard today. Case ZC 18-083, case CCC 19-020, and case CC 19-023. We have one speaker that has signed up, David Sosin. David Sosin. Oh, right there, okay.
No comments, just to answer questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anyone of the public wish to address the board? Anybody from the public wish to address from the board? One more shot. Anybody wants to speak before the board? Mr. Markham?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for all land use cases.
Moved by Mr. Markham, second by Mr. Ferry. Madam Call the roll.
Ferry?
Yes.
Frizalone? Ogala? Summers? Cook? Moostis? Rice? Harris? Trainier? Fritz? Mueller? Gould? Van Dyne? Balich? Brooks? Parker? Ventura? Dollinger? Markham?
Yes.
Berkowitz? Cowan? Tumanello? Weigel? Crolitis? Winfrey?
24 affirmative.
24 affirmative. Motion has carried. Mr. Markham.
All right, first up, we have zoning case ZC-18-083, which is a zoning map amendment from R2 to C2 in New Lenox Township on South Parker Road in County Board District 7. We placed this on the table, so I'll make a motion to remove it from the table.
Motion, second by Ms. Cowan. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Mr. Berkowitz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Does Beth want to be included?
Beth, you want to be a yes? Okay.
All right, so for this one, we were notified, I think it was the day after our last board meeting, that the owner had sold the property, so this is no longer needed, so I'm going to make a motion to remove it from the agenda.
Second, Mr. Frizalone. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Rice, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next up, we have zoning case ZC-19-020, which is a zoning map amendment from E2 to...
You got it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. It's zoning case ZC-19-020, which is a zoning map amendment from E2 to R2 in New Lenox Township, commonly known as 415 Old Hickory Road in New Lenox, Illinois, County Board District number 12, and I will make a motion to approve.
Moved by Mr. Markham, second by Mr. Weigel. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Trainier, second by Mr. Brooks. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
All right, next up we have number 3, which is zoning case ZC-19-023, which is a special use permit for a landscaping and lawn maintenance business and a variance for minimum lot area from 10 acres to 7.308 acres in Homer Township, commonly known as vacant property on South Galway Road in Homer Glen, Illinois, County Board District number 7. And I'll make a motion to approve.
Moved by Mr. Markham, second by Mr. Balich. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Mr. Frizalone, second by Mr. Tumanello. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
All right, next up we have our committee resolutions, 19-144, which is endorsing the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Greenest Region Compact, and I will make a motion to approve.
Moved by Mr. Markham, second by Ms. Ventura. Any discussion? Any discussion? Mr. Tumanello.
Thank you. I do have a concern about one of the whereas lines in this talks about the Greenest Regional Compact synthesizes sustainability goals already adopted by leading communities in the region. Talks about the consensus goals aligning with common regional, state, national, and global objectives. First of all, I'd like to see some of those objectives, but second of all, I'm concerned that we're trying to align with certain communities in the region because I believe we are the leader in a lot of them. And I want to make sure that we continue to stay in the position we are. I believe we're doing some phenomenal things with solar. I believe we're doing some phenomenal things with our energy buyback. with the energy companies. I just want to make sure that we're not pigeonholed into consensus goals formed by regional mayors that may not be in line with what we're trying to accomplish here at the county.
Mr. Markham?
We discussed that kind of in committee. So, and one of the things that we talked about was making this more of a county-centered document, because it is going to be a living document. But this document does allow us access to grant funding that isn't currently available to us, since we're going to pool our resources. But we are going to try to make this county-centered, so it's more applicable to us. And it is a living document, so it's not. And there's nothing legally binding for this, but it does open up a lot of grant money that isn't currently available to us. So I hope that kind of alleviates some of your concerns.
Any other questions? Mr. Ballage?
I have the opinion that when the state opens up more grant money, since we are already the leader, they need us to get their grants, because we're doing way more than any of those other groups, as far as I know. So I don't see why we should join their group. We should create our own group and tell them if they want to join our group, come on in. But why should we be subservient to another group that isn't even close to where we are?
Got an answer for that?
I mean, it's, like I said, it's not legally binding, and since we are a leader, we're going to make it for us. And, I mean, we can join a group and then become the leader of that group. So, I mean, we have been a leader in this area and then the whole state and probably the whole region for years. So, I mean, we're already a leader. Why not show other people what we do as a county? And, I mean, we've been doing it for years. That's all I have to say about that.
Ms. Traynor?
Yes, thank you, County Executive Walsh. I just wanted to mention, what Board Member Tuminello said. The Greenest Region Compact synthesizes sustainability goals already adopted by leading communities in the region. We've already adopted some of these things. We are the people that we're talking about in this document. I don't know how we couldn't agree with what we're doing. I mean, that's what I thought I heard Ray say, that we're already doing it, and I heard Steve say, we're already doing it. This document just codifies that and says, we are one of the leaders in the community. It doesn't say we're the leader county community, but we're the leader in the community. That's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Mustis?
I have some similar concerns that Mr. Tuminello mentioned, and that is when you're saying we're adopting regional, national, global objectives, and they're unnamed objectives, that concerns me a little bit, because we're buying into something that we don't know what it is. What are those objectives? So I would kind of like to see that less specific come out of the resolution, because I've been around long enough that all of a sudden you don't take it. You may not agree with something, and you say, well, we said we agreed to this. So I'm concerned about anything in any resolution that doesn't really spell out what you're buying into. So that's a concern of mine. But I also want to just make a quick comment about this county. Tuesday, we went through our new courthouse, had a tour, and all you have to look at some of the things we're doing there, whether it's green roofs, solar power, the most efficient systems that we could place into the facility, shows we're a leader. The other part we really have been a leader in is I want to mention the Forest Preserve and the citizens of Will County who agreed to pay for these things through referendum, since approximately 1990, really more around 92, we've added 8,800 acres to open space. We preserved another 8,800 acres. This county now has 22,000 acres that's in preservation. That's all part of sustainability. I also want to mention that when Joliet Arsenal was being decommissioned, we supported in Will County of leaving, out of the 22,000 acres approximately, I think it was 23,000 acres, something like that. We supported leaving 19,000 acres in open space and restoring our prairie land. We've done some extraordinary things here. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the county executive. When Mr. Walsh became the county executive, he initiated the Green Will County. I just want to mention that we've been hard at this for many years. And that's just my way of saying, patting ourselves on the back. I'm patting all you on the back. And Larry, Mr. Executive, special thanks to you, because it was one of your very early initiatives. So when folks think that we haven't been hard at work at this, we have been, and I think it should be noted. So I think, Mr. Executive, it should be noted that this was an early initiative of yours. And most of it has gone through the executive's office as far as a lot of the initiatives. They come through our solid waste program, they come from our landfill, and that's where the money comes from for a lot of these programs, by the way, because this board decided we're not just in here to take money out of a landfill, we're going to put it back in. You've seen some of that earlier today with those checks. That money comes from our landfill. That was part of our agreement with Waste Management, that they put that money into those communities. So I guess I could go on, but I will stop. I just want to say I think we've done an admirable job from top to bottom. Everybody's pitched in. So
Thanks,
you, Mr.
Jim.
Executive.
You got a comment?
Just really quick, and it would be the way that I thought about this, and but in our board packet, the framework booklet, which is the bullet point B, outlines all the goals. So the goals are kind of listed in there, and I mean there's boxes that we as a county can check if it's applicable to us or not. So I mean the goals are outlined in the left-hand column, which is C if you're looking at the spreadsheet that's attached, and it gives the objectives, so it has the goals and actions. So it is in there if you want to take a look at that. But I just wanted to say that was what my understanding is of the goals and that was mentioned in the resolution. And so with that, I'm going to let everybody else do the talking.
Thank you. Ms. Berkowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Because this is a living document, that alone is reason for this proclamation to be modified. Because we specify in the proclamation global initiatives and national initiatives, we are unique here in Will County. We're very progressive. We have a vibrant conservation program. We have agriculture that we'd like to preserve. That may not necessarily correspond with these global initiatives that are referred to. So I would like to see the proclamation modified and presented in a county fashion so that we can abide by it without that question of what are the goals outside of the county, and what are our requirements if we were to approve a proclamation that's written as broadly as this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rice?
This resolution to not take a few words out of context and look at the spirit of the whole resolution. So what I would direct everyone to look at is the Greenest Region Compact may act as a foundation to update the energy and conservation plan to include these goals prioritized by the Will County community. Nothing is binding about this resolution. It's calling for communities to work together. When you read further, and they talk about communities working together, it does not mean that something is requiring us to do something that's in the document. And even though we're doing a good job, we can work together to improve. I don't think anyone can deny when you're doing good, you can do better. So I just think it's important to look that this is not binding, this is a framework, and we may or may not include these goals. Nothing is requiring us to. And I see the resolution very appropriate and positive and in touch with what my community members would like to see us doing.
Thank you. Mr. Tumanello?
Just in response to a couple of the things that I was concerned about, is there are sections in there, you're right, the goals and the strategies are listed. I actually took the time and read those, and some of the things that got me nervous are the ones that say, you know, commit to the compact of mayors, adopt the mayor's monarch pledge. These are things that I really don't even know what they are and haven't seen them, and that's my only concern. I want to continue to be the leader in the area. I want to continue to do the things we're doing. Anything we could do to be more green is a step in the right direction, but we want to make sure that we're doing it the way we want to do it and not adopting mayor's monarch's pledges and committing to things that we don't even, and I know it's a living document, I know, I'm just saying, I'm a liberal person.
I understand.
I'm reading it, and I'm seeing things that are just making me concerned, that's all.
I understand.
Ms. Ventura?
Don, did you want to go first?
No, you're called.
You were recognized.
So what I wanted to say was I sent this resolution to Mike Frizzalone months ago for his leadership to work with the Republican Party because I asked for this to be a bipartisan resolution, that we would all work together on this. I received no feedback months ago. I didn't receive any feedback at the Committee of the Whole. I didn't receive any feedback after Land Use Committee. Sam Bloomer worked to reword the language so it would be a little bit more to their specifications, and yet no feedback was given. So I asked to move forward on a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gould?
Executive. Certainly, Will County's done a great job as far as energy efficiency in its buildings and conservation. I did read the document. However, as someone who represents a district that has a nuclear power plant with 2 units and also a major oil refinery, I will have to be a no. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Don. Mr. Corralitis?
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I, too, have reservations on this resolution. Anytime I see global initiatives in tying our local government to global initiatives and also to pledges that were indicated that we're unaware of, can anybody give me an idea of what is in that mayor's or monarch's pledge that is referred to in the documents?
We'll let, I mean, if Sam wants to give a quick rundown of that, if she...
Well, not Sam. How about somebody in the people that are voting on this?
I mean, and we don't have to, like I said earlier, do everything that's in there because we get to pick our initiatives as a county. So if there's something we don't want to do as a county, we just say no and don't do it. We have the option of going through it line by line and saying what we like or don't like.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we don't want to do that, then we're not going to do it as a county.
Understood, and thank you for that. That's probably something that we should discuss prior to voting for this. So
was that a committee of the whole land here?
Excuse me. I think one of the things that I want to point out is Ms. Ventura had indicated that there was no cooperation. I think up to this point, some of the leading the way that Will County has done, you know, Jim pointing out Larry's involvement and his involvement and the board's involvement, that is proof of our willingness to work together and our success as a county in working together in achieving these objectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Mr. Brooks?
Mr. Executive, I think it's 2 things clear this morning, is that we have worked in a collaborative effort of bringing the county where it is right now on this issue. And the second issue is, I think we can bring the resolution if we just do a roll call.
Call the question.
Call the question.
Mr. Eustace?
Yeah, I just want to make one other comment, and it is on the economic side, and it is about job creation and so forth. Mr. Gould makes a good point. We have a nuclear power plant here. that may or may not fit in these initiatives, I don't know. But we also have 2 refineries in Will County that employ a lot of people. Many of these initiatives, global initiatives, may not fall in line with what we here, our economic assets here in Will County that employ thousands of people. And I might also point out that we are still a strong agricultural community. And when you start looking at agriculture and some of the negative language that comes out towards agriculture in relation to being polluters, you know, maybe some of these global initiatives will also affect the farm community. So I'm going to be a no because I'm just not comfortable with these global initiatives when I don't know what really global initiatives. So we're going to be working with France. We're going to be going to Paris soon. I don't know. So I'm going to be a no based on the broad spectrum of the resolution. Thank you, Mr. Executive.
Mr. Ballage.
Yes, I made my position real clear at committee that I look at the mayors in this group are some of the ones that are going after the airport agricultural good farmland, and they want to take all of our resources and get all the money and give Will County zero control. And so anytime I see the mayors and managers trying to take over something in Will County, I immediately think about the Peatone Airport. It drives me nuts that it's in our county and they want all the revenue from it and they want all the control from it. And I don't think Will County is a dumb county. We're smart people here. So why should we allow this to happen on any level, whether it be a green level or it be on a financial level? It's a bad thing for our county.
Thank you. Mr. Ferry?
Mr. Executive, please call the question.
Okay. I got one more speaker. Mr. Frizzalone?
Yeah, I think I need to have an opportunity to answer Mrs. Ventura. I don't know how your caucus works, but we allow all our members to bring all their opinions forward. They each have some different concerns on this, and so as leadership, we let them voice their concerns.
Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Ferry?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Ogalla?
Yes.
Summers?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Mustis?
No.
Rice?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Fritz?
No.
Mueller?
Yes.
Gould?
No.
Van Dyne?
Yes.
Balich?
No.
Brooks?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Ventura?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Berkowitz?
No.
Cowan?
Yes.
Tuminello?
No.
Weigel?
Yes.
Carlitis?
No.
Winfrey?
Yes.
18 affirmative, 7 negative.
18 affirmative, motion has carried.
Thank you, Mr. Executive, and thank you, everybody, for a lively debate. Before I announce our next meeting date, I just wanted to announce, and I thank Mr. Musis for bringing this to my attention, that on May 8th, Steve Lazara, who is a land use planner, passed away at the age of 57 years old. So if you could all keep his family and friends in your thoughts and prayers, that would be appreciated. And I'd like to send my condolences to everybody who knew him and his family members and friends. And then our next committee meeting is scheduled for July 9th at 10:30 a.m. in this room. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Markham. Next up, Finance Committee, Mr. Harris, Chairman.
Good morning, County Executive, fellow board members, and all in attendance.
Good morning.
First item on our Finance Committee agenda is the monthly...
Speak into your mic.
Okay. The first item on the committee report is the monthly financial report to be placed on file. The first report is from the Illinois Department of Revenue showing sales tax remitted to the Will County for the month of March 2019 to be $419,069.28. The RTA tax received is $1,718,217.88 for a total of $3,137,287.16. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Ventura. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
The next report is the Will County Monthly Treasurer Report dated April 30th of 2019 from the Will County Treasurer, Tim Brophy. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Markham.
Yeah, I have a point of order really quick.
Oh.
We need to have a new roll call because our last one wasn't a clean.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Ready? Ferry?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Ogalla? Summers? Cook? Moostis? Rice? Harris?
Yes.
Trainier? Fritz? Mueller? Gold? Van Dyne? Balich? Brooks?
Yes.
Parker? Ventura? Dollinger? Markham?
Yes.
Berkowitz? Cowan? Tumanello? Weigel? Curlitis? Winfrey?
23 affirmative.
Thank you.
Who else am I missing?
24. I'm sorry, 24.
Okay, yep, 24.
Continue, Mr. Harris.
Okay, the next item, I'd like to make a motion to go into public hearing regarding the circuit court fees.
Oh, man. Here we go.
Second, Mr. Markham. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll call by Mr.
Roll call again.
Okay,
for
roll
public
call
hearing.
again?
Yep, a lot of roll calls today.
Okay.
All right. Ferry?
Yes.
Frizzalone? Ogalla? Summers? Cook? Moostis? Rice? Harris?
Yes.
Trainier? Fritz? Mueller? Gould? Van Dyne? Balich? Brooks? Parker? Ventura? Dollinger? Markham? Berkowitz? Cowan? Tumanello? Weigel? Curlitis? Winfrey?
24 affirmative, and motion is carried.
Okay.
Mr. Harris?
Oh.
It's your committee here.
So in public hearing, I guess.
You're going to make a motion to move into public hearing?
Yeah, that's what I did. We took a roll call.
Okay, we're there.
So we're in public hearing now?
That was
the roll call for the public hearing.
okay. All right, get done. Bill? Yes. And anybody want to have the public to address the board about the fees? Anybody from the public? Anybody from the public that want to address the board? Seeing no one, call.
Did you have some, Mary, or no? Just
Only several
okay.
questions.
No.
Gotta do it to close it.
Mr. Mustis?
Just for, so the public has an understanding, exactly, Mary, this is basically a realignment of fees, basically coming down from the Supreme Court to make a more equitable system across the state, correct?
That's correct. So most of these fees are set by state statute, but there's a group of them that are in the discretion of county board. So in the ordinance that's been proposed, you will see 3 different subsections after each type of case. And the first section are statutory fees that go into county funds that the state set and you have no discretion over. The second subsection deals with fees that go to the state, and then the third section deals with fees that the county board has discretion over, and the fees that are placed in there are based on suggestions from staff who have dealt with these fees for years and years. I would also like to mention that there are numerous bills that have been passed by both houses and are awaiting the signature of the governor that would change some of the things that are in this ordinance. So you will, in all likelihood, see this come back in coming months, but we do need to get something passed today so that we can begin collecting fees on July 1st. Okay?
Thank you, Mary. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Ferry?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Ogalla? Summers? Cook? Mustis? Rice? Harris?
Yes.
Trainier? Fritz? Mueller? Gould? Van Dyne? Balich? Brooks?
Yes.
Parker? Ventura? Dollinger? Markham? Berkowitz? Cowan? Tumanello? Weigel? Curlitis? Winfrey?
23 affirmative. We are out of public hearing. Mr. Harris, continue.
Okay, the next resolution is 19-145. This is establishing the circuit fees and criminal and traffic assessments to be charged by the clerk of the circuit court. This is what we just had the public hearing on, so I so move.
Moved by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Dollinger. Previous roll call by Ms. Summers, second by Mr. Frizzalone. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Okay, next resolution is 19-146. This is authorizing the county executive to enter into a professional service agreement with and appoint Joseph E. Myers and Associate, Inc. as the county agent to attend the annual tax sale and to manage the interests arising therefrom as trustee on behalf of the various taxing bodies. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Berkowitz. Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Ogalla. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Okay. Just to note, this is a long-standing agreement that's in the best interest of the county. We will be looking to get a presentation so everybody's aware of exactly what this means. It may be financial, it may be a committee of the whole, but we'll let you know coming up. The next resolution is 19-147, appropriating grant fund in the county, in the coroner's 2019 budget. I shall move.
Moved by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Cook, seconded by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Okay. Next resolution is 19-148. This is transferring fund within the probation department 2019 budget. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Summers. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Ogalla, second by Mr. Balich. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
The next resolution is 19-149, appropriating grant fund in the county executive IPDO grant budget. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Trainier. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
The next resolution, 19-150, transferring fund within the corporate 2019 budget. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Rice. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Berkowitz, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
The last resolution, 19-151, is authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents for the Lincoln Tax Program. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Harris, seconded by Mr. Markham. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Cook, seconded by Mr. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Okay, I'd like to inform the county board that we also received our second installment from the city of Joliet for $500,000 toward their commitment. So, like I said, it's an annual installment of $500,000 a year, so we did get the second installment, and it's been forwarded to the county treasurer.
Make sure they... Thanks, Mr. Harris.
The next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for July 2nd, 2019 at 10 a.m. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Ken.
Thanks.
Next up, Public Works and Transportation Committee. Mr. Van Dyne, Chairman.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Executive and Will County.
Good morning, Joe.
We have a number of resolutions to consider this morning, starting with 19-152, adopting the Will County Transportation Improvement Program fiscal year 2020 to 2025, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Van Dyne, second by Ms. Summers. Previous roll by Mr. Tuminello, second by Mr. Gould. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary has carried.
19-153, confirming award of contract to PT Farrow Construction, $840,468.44 for 143rd Street, County Highway 37 from Illinois 171 to Golden Oak Drive, County Board District 7, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Van Dyne, second by Mr. Freslone. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Balish, second by Mr. Weigel. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 19-154, confirming award of contract to H&H Electric Company for $177,727.20 to maintain the countywide traffic signal maintenance, all county board districts, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Van Dyne, second by Ms. Cowan. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Ms. Ventura. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
19-155, confirming award of contract to Iroquois Paving Corporation, $252,333 for Peatone Road District Overlay, County Board District 1, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Van Dyne, second by Ms. Summers. Previous roll by Ms. Ogala, second by Ms. Mueller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
19-156, authorizing approval of the establishment of altered speed zone 573, County Board District 7, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Van Dyne, second by Mr. Ballage. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
19-157, authorizing approval of the establishment of altered speed zone 574, County Board District 6, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Van Dyne, second by Mr. Gould. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Cowan, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify say by aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
19-158, authorizing approval of the establishment of altered speed zone 575, County Board District 6, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Van Dyne, second by Mr. Gould. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
19-159, authorizing approval of professional services agreement for supplemental design engineering services agreement with Willett, Hoffman and Associates for various county highways, County Boards District 5, 12, and 13, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Van Dyne, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Balich. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
19-160, rescinding resolution number 09-206 and hereby supporting a new regional transportation corridor on an alignment of Caton Farm, Oak, Bruce, Gauger, County Boards District 7 and 9, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Van Dyne. Who's second? Ms. Parker. Any questions? Got a question, Mr. Weigel?
About 10 years ago, the county board approved a middle route which went through open farmland, and it was parallel to Cedar Road. I was opposed to the route at that time. I have been an advocate of using existing roadways such as Gauger Road or Cedar Road to reach 159th Street. I do support this change to Gauger Road and urge a vote in favor. So I'll make a motion for
previous roll.
Previous roll.
Second by Mr. Ventura. Any questions? Any questions? I'm all in favor. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
And lastly, 19-161, the transfer of jurisdiction of Manhattan, Arsenal, East and West frontage roads, County Highway 17 to the Shanahan Township Road District by the county under the Illinois Highway Code, County Board District Number 6, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Van Dyne, Mr. McGould, 7 seconds. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll call by Ms. Bryce, second by Ms. Cook. All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Thank you. And we will be taking the 4th of July off, so our next Public Works and Transportation meeting will be scheduled for August 1st, 2019 at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Van Dyne. Next up is the Judicial Committee. Mr. Markham, Chairman.
Thank you again, Mr. Executive. We have one item to vote on today, which is 19-162, awarding bid for SWAT tactical vests for the Sheriff's Department, and I'll make a motion to approve.
Moved by Mr. Markham, second by Mr. Ferry. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Ms. Ogala. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Thank you. Our next meeting is scheduled for July 2nd at 9 a.m. in the County Board Committee Room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Markham. Next up, Public Health and Safety Committee, Ms. Summers, Chairperson.
We have one vote for consideration. It is 19-163, authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement between the County of Will and the Village of Romeoville for the provision of animal control services, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Summers, second by Ms. Cook. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Cowan, second by Mr. Markham. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carries.
The next Public Health and Safety Committee meeting is scheduled for July 3rd, 2019 at 9:30 a.m., immediately following Forest Preserve meetings at the Forest Preserve District Building. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Next up is the Legislative and Policy Committee, Ms. Trainier, Chairperson.
Good morning again, everyone. We had a really nice meeting. We had Brent Hassert from Curry and Associates, our lobbyist, come and speak to us about all the wonderful things that are in the Capitol bill for Will County. And it was really exciting, almost $1 billion worth of improvements and monies and grants and just lots of wonderful things to help with our roads, to help with a number of different needs in our community, as well as the new gas tax, which I know some people are already grumbling about, but roads cost money. They don't come for free. We need our roads fixed if we want to continue to grow as a county. So it was exciting to hear from him. We had a discussion on the video gambling, and we have passed a motion, and hopefully we'll have a public hearing next month, and then be bringing that resolution forward again to the full county board on whether or not we want to reconsider our position on video gambling now that we have become the Las Vegas of the Midwest, with all the other opportunities we have here in town. And then hopefully at our July meeting, we will be visited by our county clerk, and we will get a really strong education on how the voting process works and what our procedures are, and a little information about our software and equipment so that we can get our new board members up to speed on how elections work in Will County, which I think I already know we do a pretty damn good job because we use paper ballots, and I think that's really important. And we don't have any hanging chads, so I think we have a pretty good system. And last but not least, I would just like to take a moment to personally mention and invite everyone to attend the Bolingbrook Community Juneteenth event in Bolingbrook at noon on Saturday. This is, I believe, maybe our second or third event, but annually the members of our community form a partnership to host Juneteenth. The festival is a benefit to Bolingbrook and surrounding communities. It's a reminder of the Emancipation Proclamation. This particular event is going to be honoring and showcasing the strength and beauty of women in our community. Did you hear that, ladies? Women. And it does provide a positive and peaceful forum to educate, empower, and encourage the residents, again, of Bolingbrook and the surrounding communities. It starts at noon. It's behind Village Hall, and I would encourage all to attend. Thank you. Oh, and our next meeting, we are having one, is July 9th. Did I say 9th?
Correct.
I lost my spot. Yeah,
Correct.
July 9th at 9 a.m. So if you have some thoughts about our election processes or want to be part of the hearing and have your voice heard regarding video gambling, please don't forget to attend. What do they say? Be there or be square. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harris, you have your light lit?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Next up, Capital Improvements Committee, Mr. Brooks, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive and ladies and gentlemen, and it's still morning. I have no resolution to bring forward. However, we always have a good update from our partners of the construction and the man hours without any injuries. I think that's fantastic. I too participated in a tour of the courthouse on this week. And our chief judge, we went through one of the courtrooms, and the wood is there, and it's really coming along, so they're doing a fantastic job. You all have a summary of all our projects. Unlike Public Works, we will not take 4th of July off. We will have a meeting on Tuesday, July the 2nd at 9 a.m. No, 11 a.m. Just a little bit later. And that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
11.
Next up, Executive Committee, Ms. Winfrey, Chairperson.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning.
Fellow board members, we have a number of resolutions this morning. The first being 19164, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Orland Park and the Will County Sheriff's Office with regard to investigation of officer-involved deaths and shootings, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Brooks. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by, you have a question? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Ms. Cook. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed.
Next up is 19-165, which I'm going to table. We have some more details to work out on that one, and I so move.
Move to table.
Yes.
Second by Mr. Tumanello. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Mr. Frizzalone, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll.
All in favor?
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
We have 19-166, authorizing the county executive to renew a lease with the administrative offices for the Illinois courts for office space in the Will County Arbitration Center, the Will County Court Annex, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Ogala. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Balich, second by Ms. Berkowitz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
We have 19-167, authorizing the county executive to execute a lease agreement with Bays Rialto Building for office space for the superintendent of, the regional superintendent of education, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Markham. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Trenier, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carries.
We have 19-168, authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with Ann Schneider and Associates, and I so move.
Move with Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Mr. Ferry. Discussion. Mr. Tumanello.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. First, let me preface this by saying I think Ann has done a phenomenal job for the county. I think she'll continue to do a phenomenal job for the county. She was instrumental in helping us put together that plan, as well as I believe she was instrumental in helping us achieve the money for the Route 30 and I-80 interchange. However, by looking at the contract, paragraph 4.1 says, in consideration of provider rendered of services, the client shall pay a provider a monthly retainer of $5,000 to begin 30 days after the acceptance of the agreement agreed by both party and client, blah, blah, blah. At the end, it says a courtesy copy shall be sent to the county board chief of staff. Retainer services are capped at 40 hours per month. Any additional services shall be billed at $200 a month. And I agree there's going to be times that the county may ask her to perform different things on different projects. However, I would like to make a motion to amend that and add to the bottom, additional service hours above the retainer amount shall be capped at 120 hours per year unless additional hours are approved by the Will County Board. And the reason I'd like to do this is because right now this is an open-ended agreement. We could literally rack up a tremendous amount of money, and I think if there is a project that does command additional hours, maybe 100 hours, we would be able to be involved in that fiduciary duty and responsibility that I believe we have. I did. I made the motion to amend the paragraph.
Second.
Moved in second by Judy O'Connor. Any discussion on the amendment?
Mr. Executive?
Yeah, Ms. Winfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. And I thank Mr. Tumanello for pointing that out. I understand his concern. I don't believe that there is an issue there, given that Ms. Schneider already gives us more than what she bills for currently. That has not been an issue, and I don't see that it will be in the future. We get more than what we pay for already, and I don't believe that there's a problem to be solved here. So I would resist the amendment.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, you want?
I just want to make a quick comment. I'd like to perhaps hear from the state's attorney's office about, whether they feel we should leave this open-ended on the amount of additional hours. I know you can say, well, we can depend on somebody's goodwill, but having come from the My background is in the business world, and, you know, when they say the road, whatever, Dalmatian is paved with the road of good intentions. So I think that unless the state's attorney feels this is not an open-ended contract, that perhaps, you know, we should strongly consider the amendment.
You have the ability to control what projects or whether you expand your services, so you do have the ability.
Punch your light, Mary.
So I think the county board does have the ability to limit the scope of the services, and in that way you do have the ability to control it even without
The additional language?
So, but is that the case, Mary? Is the scope of the contract limited to what you're saying? I mean, I just want to, you know, make sure that we have full transparency here and protect, you know, the taxpayers and not leave something open-ended. And it doesn't mean that we don't have good communication, you know, executive's office, board in these matters, but still, you know, I'm thinking, just from a precedent perspective, that we should always have a limit on contracts.
Typically, we have had not to exceed language. That
Yes,
is
we
true.
have.
Yes.
And that's all I was trying, I'm not trying to say that she does anything. I think her work is phenomenal. I think we're going to continue to get great work out of her. She does give us above and beyond. I was just trying to tighten up the contract.
This is best, this
Can
is
I,
best practice.
maybe I can just allay some fears. Is this, just for the quick history, she started at a higher retainer rate when we did the freight study because she had a team of people working for her. A year ago, when we were moving away from the freight study, but just to general consulting, we reduced her from $7,500 a month to $5,000 a month, and we had a cap both times. During the freight study, we did exceed that number, and it was communicated and acknowledged, and everybody was okay with it. Since that time, we've never billed, she's never billed any hours above the 40 because she's aware of our financial constraints, but it's not open-ended in that I have to approve her invoices every month. I'm monitoring her hours. I keep a spreadsheet just because of the experience early on, and I was concerned about the above hours. But we are limited by, this is coming out of the executive's budget. We don't have a lot of discretionary money.
Well, if that's the case.
So, I mean, you limited us in that regard, so I can't spend money.
It's limited by the budget?
I can't spend money, I can't allow her to bill for money we don't have. So and as Denise and others know, she has put in well above those hours and not billed us. This is a fully loaded contract. What that means is she doesn't bill us for any travel expenses except for the exceptional, like when we went to DC, we paid for her trip to there. But she doesn't bill us as soon as she gets in her car. She bills us, I mean, she books hours when she's at the meeting, but she is exceeding those hours. During this capital bill, she was actively involved. This week we went to IDOT. She's going this coming week to a meeting in Eastern Will County, so she's well and above. It's a fair suggestion, but I don't know that it's necessary because we're limited already by the budget, and we are monitoring, and the Chief of Staff of the County Board, that was a kind of a communication improvement too, to make sure that the board's office got official notification of her invoices and gets her report also. So we're trying to be as open, transparent, and accountable as possible. So
My concern is that all our contracts just be consistent. You know, I agree with things that are being said about Ansider and Associates. I mean, I agree with it. But all our contracts should be consistent from one to the other, regardless of who the person is.
Right.
You know, so that's why I think just the not to exceed language should be in there, just so we are consistent with all our contracts, that there's a limit on them. I understand what you're saying, Nick, that everything is limited, I suppose, by budget appropriations, but nevertheless, I feel it should be a consistent part of all our contracts.
if she was going to take on a project that was going to exceed those hours, I would likely have to come to the board and ask for approval for additional money anyway.
But there is no hours. There is no hours, that's the point. There's no hours that are stated not to exceed. It just says you'll bill at this rate, and I understand what you're saying, it's limited. I'm talking about consistency in all our contracts, that's all. Now, I'm not talking about this Ann Snyder's contract.
Right.
It's just that all our contracts, and I don't see where it hurts by putting it in there. I think it's making a big deal about nothing as far as not putting it in. That's all.
Any other questions?
There's a motion second out there.
We got a motion for the amendment. That Madam Clerk call the roll.
Barry?
No.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Ogala?
Yes.
Summers?
No.
Cook?
No.
Mustis?
Yes.
Rice?
No.
Harris?
Unbelievable.
Trainier?
No.
Fritz?
Yes.
Mueller?
No.
Gould?
Yes.
Van Dyne?
No.
Balich?
Yes.
Brooks?
No.
Parker?
Yes.
Ventura?
No.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
No.
Berkowitz?
Yes.
Makes me less.
Cowan?
No.
Tumanello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Crolitis? Winfrey?
You got handshake deals now.
13.
Unbelievable.
12 affirmative, 13 negative.
Motion failed.
No, I'm not going for the contract.
The amendment, no, Miss Winfrey. Anything?
No other contract.
Now,
You're gonna vote for an open contract?
call the roll on the, as minute, as amended. Or not the as amended. Yep.
Okay. Ferry?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
No.
Ogala?
No.
Summers?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Mustis?
No.
Rice?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
Mueller?
Yes.
Gould?
No.
Van Dyne?
Yes.
Balich?
No.
Brooks?
Yes.
Parker?
No.
Ventura?
Yes.
Dollinger?
No.
Markham?
Yes.
Berkowitz?
No.
Cowan?
Yes.
Tumanello? Weigel?
No.
Crolitis?
No.
Winfrey?
Stupid.
13 affirmative, 12 negative.
13 to 12, motion has carried. Move on,
There's no reason.
We have 19-169, authorizing the county executive to execute a lease with at and T for placement of communication equipment on the county-owned radio tower located at the Public Safety Complex on Laraway Road, and I so move.
Second by Mr. Frizzalone. Any discussion? Any discussion? Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Ferry?
Yes.
Frizzalone? Yes. Ogala?
Yes.
Summers?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Mustis? Rice?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Fritz? Mueller?
Yes.
Gould? Van Dyne?
Yes.
Balich? Brooks?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Ventura?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Berkowitz?
Yes.
Cowan?
Yes.
Tumanello?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Crolitis? Winfrey?
Yes.
25 affirmative.
25 affirmative, the motion is carried.
We have 19170, authorizing the county executive to renew a contract with Joliet Junior College, the workforce development for a work readiness program, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Ms. Cowan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
We have 19171, authorizing the county executive to renew a contract with JJC for the workforce development for WIOA Youth Occupational Training and GED Academic Skill Improvements Program, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Ogata. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Mr. Balich. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
19172, authorizing the county executive to renew a contract with Employment and Employer Services for the fiscal year 19 on-the-job training program, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, seconded by Ms. Ventura. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Harris, seconded by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
We have 19173, authorizing the county executive to renew the Will County One-Stop Operator Agreement with Workforce Services Division, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Dollinger. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
We have 19174, voiding the bid for tire collection, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Markham. Any question? Any question? Previous roll by Mr. Balich and second by Mr. Weigel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
We have 19175, authorizing the emergency repairs of chiller number 3 at the ADF, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Ms. Ogata, second by previous. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Trainier, second by Ms. Cowan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
We have 19176, approving funding assistance to Illinois State Water Survey, Will County Regional Groundwater Study, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Van Dyne. Previous roll call by Ms. Borkowitz and second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motions had carried.
We have 19177, which is in accordance with state statute that based on the resignation of Mr. Don Moran, we declare a vacancy in County Board District 3, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Ferry. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
And then, Mr. Executive, just as a matter of record, we are no longer required to approve an annual prevailing wage ordinance with the passage of SB 203. So the prevailing wage schedule published on IDOL's website, Illinois Department of Labor, will automatically set the rates for each locality. The next Executive Committee meeting will be July 11th. Those committees that do not meet prior to the July 4th holiday will be heard at the July 11th Executive Committee meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
Next up, we have appointments by the County Executive. They're attached, and I so move.
Moved by Ms. Winfrey, second by Mr. Ferry. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Berkowitz, second by Ms. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Thank you, Mr. Executive.
Thank you, Ms. Winfrey. Next up is public comment. Do we have anybody signing up for public comment? Anyone from state your name.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Linda Schumann, and I'm also in Will County. First, I am humbled to be here speaking for you, but I am only here because I am shocked and enraged that is necessary for me to be here. I'm a parishioner of two very large Catholic churches where there are hundreds of people who I know personally. Of the couple thousands of total parishioners that are completely against what we're talking about here. We stand with other Catholic churches against this idea, this notion. What is shocking and what is most is taking an idea of a few extreme thinkers and even entertaining this, which is appalling. We are supposed to be teaching our society to take responsibility and to take accountability instead of taking an innocent life. There are a million ways you can prevent a pregnancy and be responsible. Each one of you sitting in your chairs out there today enjoys life, enjoys a chocolate sundae, the 4th of July fireworks that are coming up, and watching a really good movie with someone you love because your mother said yes to life. Your worst day is still a better day than the child who never gets a life to live at all. Why should any of your lives, and I say this respectfully, be more important than the child's life we are meeting about today? Why? We run a huge risk to minimize any child's life because then what are we teaching our young people? That life is that cheap and unimportant? And out of fear or confusion, it's okay to take a life? Because that's exactly what we would be allowing the young pregnant mothers to do when they are truly pregnant and bodies raging with hormones and highly emotional. I get that. So out of fear and confusion, what are we teaching? You can take a life? Then what's stopping some very young child on the playground to take control, kill a kid because he's acting out of fear and confusion? That's pretty terrifying. Nothing, because you are trying to minimize life. We're not teaching them anything, and it has its dangerous consequences. But if we were just acting responsibly and teaching and promoting the right consequences, then we wouldn't be here today minimizing life and promoting, yet again, a culture of death. Giving the baby up for adoption is the right thing to do, and there are hundreds and maybe even millions, thousands, of couples out there who cannot conceive, who would be so happy to raise the baby. Let's teach consequences to our young moms to be, please. Most of these babies are, as everyone knows, as a result of having unprotected sex. The percentage of incest and rape is a tiny percentage. And by the way, if we really care about that victim of rape or incest, we would want justice And the only way you bring justice to the rapist, and justice to the victim, is to bring the rapist to court. And you can't bring him to court unless what? You have someone who's pregnant. If they abort the baby, how are we going to bring him to court? I will not be swayed or fooled by the arguments of that extreme percentage. Finally, our great state of Illinois has banned capital punishment, so we protect most of those in jail who were found guilty. If we can protect the lives of the guilty, we can protect the lives of the innocent. Please. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Come on, Tom. Yeah. State your name. Okay.
First of all, thank you for allowing me to speak here today. My name is John Zabinski. I live in Naperville, and I am a member of the Knights of Columbus from the Bishop Romeo Blanchette Assembly. We have 17 councils in this assembly. My council is the oldest in Naperville. It was started in 1908, and there are 312 members. I currently serve as a trustee of that council, and I've come here to talk about life. One of the members of our council, I wanted to tell you about him. His name is Doug Vollinger. He is a good friend of mine, but you know, he suffers from intellectual disabilities. So, you know, he works at the Pancake Cafe on 75th. He's been there 17 years, he's been working there. And he's got such a bright attitude in our council, and actually tonight we're going out to the Naperville band concert, and I always save a chair for him out there, and we're gonna have a good time out there. I buy him a dessert there, and we have a good time. But you know what? I ask you, what if his mother said, he's not worth it. His life is going to be suffering. You know, he's not mentally there with it. And, you know, maybe I should terminate that life. And look at how he turned out. He's an awesome guy. You know, he's not a lawyer, he's not a doctor, he's not an engineer, but he's valuable. Don't we need people to serve the restaurants and be valuable citizens of our country? He's worth it. And be conscious of the children, you know, that the mother may be deciding this, but let's not let us decide it. Let's put it in the hands of a greater power and be considerate of these lives, because they can turn out just like Doug's life to be a fantastic guy. So if you ever go to the Pancake Cafe, look for Doug, and you'll see that he's there, or at the Naperville concerts. Thank you for hearing me today.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Okay, moving on. Comments by county board members. Mr. Markham.
I just wanted to take a quick second and congratulate the Joliet West softball team on their third place finish at the IHSA state tournament. They came back and finished in third, so I just wanted to take a second to congratulate them.
Thank you. Third is not bad. We always want to congratulate, whether it's third or 10th, our local schools, that what they accomplished in the sports arena. So, anybody? Gretchen? Fritz, Ms. Fritz?
Mr. Executive, I just wanted to recognize, along with Meta Mueller, the American Legion in Plainfield, American Legion Marne Post number 13. On June 30th, 1919, 22 veterans of World War I gathered in Plainfield to form an American Legion post. So on June 30th, they are celebrating their 100-year anniversary at the Marne Post, which is on Renwick Road. If you're not familiar with it, it's at Renwick and River in Plainfield. They are going to celebrate their 100th anniversary with an open house from 1 to 6 p.m. They're going to have displays, food, and fellowship. I've been to their open houses before. They're very welcoming, very sweet people. So I encourage everyone to go and visit the Marne Post 13.
Thank you. Next up, Mr. Mustas.
Yeah, I like to just make a couple comments. I'd like to thank Mr. Markham for mentioning the passing of Steve Lazara. I realize that many of you may not have known Steve, but I don't think there was he worked in the land use department for many years, and I don't think there was a more dedicated public servant than Steve. He was really a great public servant, and I think got a lot accomplished for the county and the citizens of Will County. So thanks for mentioning that, Mr. Markham. You know, the other one, even though I wanted to get up and say something to the clerk before I made the comment, but I'll make it now. It's not that big of a deal. But, you know, I know the county clerk gave a report last month and mentioned a lot of things in there about her staff and the dedication of her staff, but I think there was one more mention that should be out there, and that is the municipalities and townships that participate in early voting at their expense, I think provide a wonderful service, and I think make it a lot easier on the county clerk during election time. So I glanced through the report. I didn't see them mentioned, so I'm sure that was just an oversight. So I'll mention it. You know that our townships and municipalities do provide that service. In the case of Frankfort Township, anybody in the entire county can come vote for us thanks to technology. Now that we don't have to have the ballots physically there, we can print them. So I just wanted to give a shout out for the townships and municipalities for the early voting process. Thanks.
Thank you. Hey, you're so correct. Next up, Mr. Ballage.
Yes, I do a lot of volunteer work all over the state of Illinois, basically. But I met a real interesting person that has a lot of wisdom named Pastor Posey. He's a pastor here in Joliet. And I had a philosophical conversation with him. It might sound like Pastor Brooks or Elder Colitis or Deacon Fritz. But he said, you know, when we're all going to eventually die. So he says, what you need to do is look in a mirror at yourself and look at your image and tell your image what you stand for and what you want out of life and what you want to happen in this world, good and bad and indifferent. Then ask yourself the question, looking at the mirror, saying, do I have the courage and conviction to stand up for what I actually believe is right or wrong? And when you get that answer yourself, you have to say then, well, I do have that courage and conviction, but maybe I don't have the guts to stand up because I'll look like a fool. Or maybe I just don't care enough. I feel this way, but I don't care enough to get out of the security box. So everybody needs to examine what they really want and what they actually think. And I'm not trying to talk as a pastor, but when we look at the issue of after-birth abortion, which is a big topic now because the state just signed that bill, and then we asked to have that read as a proclamation, and it was denied. And to me, it's like it's the first time I ever heard of a proclamation being denied, because it affects all the people in Will County. It's a very sad day to me when we're not allowed to actually speak our conviction. And I've been speaking out against afterbirth abortion since the early 2000s. And it was going on in Christ Hospital, the name Christ, it was going on there. So, you know, we have to, at one point or another, we have to stand up and say we are going to be standing for these principles or not. And it's not about a political issue. It's not about whether you're a Democrat or Republican or a Libertarian. It's about you yourself have to look in the mirror and say, do I believe that what's going on is right or wrong? And that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Next up, Ms. Dollarton.
Well, I don't have such a serious comment, but thank you, Steve. I want to, first of all, a couple things. I want to thank you guys today for your vote for all the Workforce Investment Board initiatives that we have in our agenda today. Those are programs that go out throughout the whole county and help our labor force improve their status, get greater education, and allows us to improve the workforce in Will County so that we can make sure that our citizens are getting great jobs. Also, I'd like to just make a note about the Green Initiative. I think it's really important. I voted for it because I really think it's important that we in Will County are the leaders. We are the people at the table. We are there having those conversations. And I want to kind of go back to Don Gould, because I do think he made a great point about the energy programs and employers that are in his district. And we want to make sure that we don't ever have an initiative that would hinder the workforce that we have in our community. And if we were to have a discussion, I want to make sure that we bring all those employers and those energy providers to the table to be representative in anything that we would do. So I just want to make sure I comment on that. And then I want to just shout out to Sister Dolores for coming in on her busy schedule for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dollinger. Next up is Ms. Ogala.
Good morning, thank you. While the county board typically does not vote on social issues such as abortion, it seems that lately we are doing many things that are social issues and not typically county issues. But those of us sitting on a certain side of this office, of this building here, and the right side, we've been contacted by many of our residents on the recent law that was the recent legislation that was passed just this past week by J.B. Pritzker, our new governor, J.B. Pritzker. So we did put forth a proclamation to read, and it was felt that it wasn't county business. I think it is county business because it impacts so many of our residents. I'm going to read a couple things, and one thing I want to say before I even begin reading anything is something that happened in my life and Rachel Ventura's life recently. Recently, my son found a baby raccoon, and he thought, wow, there's this little baby raccoon, I'm going to do what I can to keep it alive. And Rachel's little girls, who are cute and adorable little things, they found a little baby bunny, and so they too sought to do the same thing. And so she had brought her girls up to me in one of the meetings, and we talked, and I said, well, to them, don't think that you can do it. You're not a mama bunny, and my son's not a mama raccoon, obviously, you're not a mama. And it's really hard to keep wild animals alive. So these young children, my son's not as young as her girls, but he has always been compassionate with animals, and they both did all three of them did what they could to keep these little babies alive, and unfortunately they died, and that happens often because you don't know when the little creature lost their mother. So I'm going to read what we hope to have as a proclamation. I will read it without being a proclamation. In support of protecting the lives of all newborn babies. Roe versus Wade is the legal case in the United States Supreme Court, and on January 22nd, 1973, it was ruled 7-2 that unduly restricted state regulation of abortion is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court also at that time placed the point after which the state's compelling interest in a pregnant woman's health would allow it to regulate abortion at approximately the end of the first trimester. The Supreme Court also recognized the point of viability of the unborn baby and that the state could protect its interest in potential life and regulate abortion at that time. While many on this board recognize the fact that it is a felony in the state of Illinois to abuse animals, and our state's attorney is a leader in that role. While many on this board recognize that on March 9th, 2011, the state of Illinois abolished the death penalty for criminals. And now we have the Reproductive Health Act, which was recently signed into law, that it is possible that a baby that after birth may be left to die in the state of Illinois. And that many of us have recognized the fact that animals and criminals are treated with one standard, and yet a newborn baby with another. So I'd like to just say that the Republican caucus stands against the inhumane act of allowing newborn babies to die. That we believe that everything should be done to protect the lives of these babies. We proclaim that July is Protect All Babies Born Alive Month. And we ask everyone next month during our recess board meeting, if you support that on July 18th, 2019, please wear blue to support the life of every baby born alive. Another personal story is I am the parent of 3 children. All 3 of my children were adopted. And we didn't really talk about a lot at home about abortion, but my children have these really very strong convictions against abortion, and that is because they realize how thankful they are to their birth mothers for choosing life for them. I, of course, am very grateful because without their birth mothers choosing life for my children, I would not have the 3 children that I have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Ms. Berkowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Thank you. I feel that this issue stopped being a social issue when our elected officials placed the burden upon the taxpayer to pay for this, to pay for something that not everyone has the same belief or support for, to pay for a procedure that takes life. I'd like to share an experience I had. I went to the inauguration and I brought my son, my middle son, who is typically very quiet but very intense. And when he speaks, you need to listen because he doesn't have a lot of words, but everything he says is very important. And we were walking the sidewalks in DC, and they were filled with young girls, teenagers, wearing these pink shirts that said, "I'm pro-choice." After a day or so of this, they're standing right in the middle of the sidewalk. I couldn't take it anymore. And we stopped in front of this young girl, teenager, and I said, "I'd like to introduce you to my son." And I had my arm around my son. And I said, "I carried him for 9.5 months. If I had chosen to have an abortion, he would not be here." And she said, "We have rights." And I said, "Do you understand that that child that is not born yet has a personality? They're a person." And my son, this is what will never, ever leave me. My son looked at me and he said, "Mom, it's okay. Let's go. She doesn't get it." So I'm very proud to have 3 sons who feel the value of life. And although they're confused and they don't understand what's going on or how people can do these things today, I'm assured that I know they value life. And it comforts me. So in a time today where we're having this discussion, I no longer feel this is a social issue. That's changed. And we are paying for it. Our taxpayers are paying for it. And all I ask is that I don't want to tell anyone what to think or what to do or what their social values or moral values are, but just don't make me participate and don't make me pay for it. And I will give everyone the respect they deserve to lead their own lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Next up is Rachel.
Yes, hi. Thank you. I wanted to thank everyone who voted for the Greenest Region Compact. I think it's an important step in our sustainability and growth as a county. I applaud all of the hard work that's gone before I was on this board, and I hope to continue some of that. For those who didn't vote, I implore you to please go through the framework and pick out the items that you feel are not applicable or you're not interested in, so that we can work directly with staff to create a document that is bipartisan. And Gloria, thank you for pointing out that, you know, we don't want to inhibit any growth or any jobs in our area. We want to expand that on that. So being mindful of that, I think everyone has the same goals for that. So thank you for that. For the bunnies, yes, my daughters were very sad that the bunnies passed. But on June 9th, we were able to attend the Paws on Route 66 Pet Rescue Day, and we were able to see lots of puppies be adopted that day, as well as some kittens. And so if you guys are interested in supporting causes like that, I encourage you to attend next year the Paws on 66 in Joliet. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Lori Summers.
Good morning, and thank you, Executive Walsh. A couple of really great things have come down the line, and this past Saturday, out in Steger, the CAC had an open house for, the CAC is a Children's Advocacy Center. Our state's attorney, Jim Glasgow, had the brains and the determination to start this. We now have a functioning place for our children in Eastern Will County that had been traumatized by abuse and so forth, to have a place to seek this specialized counseling. This is a big deal for the area. A lot of our kids in that area that were affected by this were not able to make it out to Joliet. So this is very proactive. This is supporting our children and making sure that they go on to lead healthy lives. So I'm very excited about that. I want to thank Jim. I want to thank the Village of Steger, who gave me an answer in 10 minutes that whatever you need, that doesn't happen in government too often. And so this is a very positive thing. And one other thing. I'm sending out a big congratulations to the Beecher Lady Cats, who won their 3rd state championship. Go Beecher.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, Ms. Cowan.
Executive. I just wanted to give a shout out to the Neuqua Valley High School girls softball team, who were the DuPage Valley Conference champions. Shortly after our May meeting, they earned this title. And Neuqua Valley High School is the only high school in Will County that takes part in the DuPage Valley Conference. So that means Will County is the champions of the DuPage Valley Conference. And I'd especially like to give a shout out to player Abby Meeks, who was named DuPage Valley Conference. Again, a Will County resident, is champion of the DuPage Valley Conference. She is the player of the year.
Wow. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Ms. Mueller.
Yes.
Yeah. I got you.
I got a call this morning. I want to give a shout out as well to some kids up in my area of the county at Bednarsik Junior High School. There's a team there that has entered into the Texas Instruments TI Codes contest. Texas Instruments, remember Speak and Spell, you guys? So they do a big contest every year. So this junior high team is up against 4 high school teams. That's how far they've made it. They're the only junior high team, and they're going to be competing this weekend, so everyone be thinking about them and sending them your good vibes, so maybe we can win this thing. If you want to look them up online, they're the Aurora, Illinois Clever Composters. Yeah. They made something to compost with, it looks very complicated.
Thank you. Thank you, Meta. Next up is Mr. Corralides.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I just want to make a comment relating to Ms. Ogala's statement. Appreciate that statement. I know this issue is a heated one, and so often we're yelling past each other. But I'm concerned when we can bring up a proclamation that says, that we're for babies that are born and that we're against the termination of a born child, because that's where we're at, that somehow somebody can find that proclamation offensive. And I guess we don't want to wade into political waters, but we, on this board, since I've been here, there's been a proactive approach to wade into political waters. And I guess if it's the majority's political opinion, that's what matters. We can wear a ribbon today in favor of a proclamation. When it's a proclamation that they don't agree with, it can't come. I don't know how many, I haven't been here long enough to know how many proclamations have been turned down, but I find it outrageous. So I'm just going to speak my piece here. There was a time when proponents of abortion basically said, we want to keep it safe, we want to keep it rare, and we want to keep it legal. Last week in Springfield, and probably a month before in New York, I saw people cheering this law that enables the termination of babies up to 9 months. And we can't make a proclamation saying, you know what, we don't agree with that, regardless of Republican, regardless of Democrat, just as human beings. You know what, you might be pro-choice, I might be pro-life, but I mean, as people, can't we look at this and say, something's wrong here? Let's get the politics out of it. Let's look at this thing a little closer. I just want to speak to folks a little bit what's in this bill, because I think you'll be outraged if you read it. Of course, we don't. We listen to the rhetoric of the politicians. So I'm going to read some things that it enables. It enables the legalization of sex selection abortions. It removes the requirement that a coroner investigate the death of a woman who dies during an abortion. It eliminates criminal penalties for doctors who perform illegal abortions. It allows non-doctors to perform abortions. It decreases the safety by dramatically deregulating abortion clinics. It also adds language that will likely nullify parental choice. Underage women, some as young as 13, will be able to get an abortion without parental notice. It legalizes partial birth abortion, and it legalizes third-term abortions. I don't know what to say. We're wearing these lapel pins at our babies' feet, okay? Many of us are. And I just find it unbelievable that somebody would be opposed to that. So I just want to give a shout out. I read an article yesterday about Cleveland Clinic. And Cleveland Clinic performed the first what's called an in utero fetal surgery on spinal bifida in a baby that's in its mother's womb. And I just want to say thank you to the Cleveland Clinic for caring enough about that child. to go in there while it's still in the mother's womb and to address a disease that would hurt that child. I want to thank a mom that was concerned enough to have this procedure done, and I want to wish her good luck and congratulations on this successful surgery. And then, most importantly, I want to welcome to this world this baby that now is going to have hopes and dreams in the future, and hopefully he'll serve its fellow man successfully. So, again, I don't know where these proclamations are, and I don't want to get too political, but I'm discouraged and disappointed that this is something that we can't agree on. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Next up, Ms. Cook.
Hi, thanks. Something I want to say really fast, just because we won't have a county board meeting again before the 4th of July, and I won't see a lot of you. 4th of July is a really important holiday to my family. I don't know if you know, me and my husband are both combat veterans, and so I really want to wish everybody here and your families a happy 4th of July. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. Anyone else? Anyone else want to speak? Announcements by the majority leader, Mr. Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Executive and fellow board members. First off, I want to re-acknowledge passing of Steve Lazara, a really great guy. And also, when we present checks to organizations like, including You Inc., Community Lifetime Ministries, the National Hookup for Black Women, Inc., the Joliet Chapter, the Joliet YMCA, we invest money in people that help people. So that's a good spend. And I just want to congratulate us for doing so. And thank you very much for doing so. And also just wanted to acknowledge Don Moran, service at the Will County Board. Don Moran was a longtime business agent for his union, SMART, sheet metal workers. And Don and I didn't always agree, but we forged a friendship. And I think we'll miss him. That's all I got.
Okay. Minority Leader, Mr. Frizzalone.
Good morning, Will County.
Good morning, Mike.
I also want to thank Don Moran for his service. We all know what you have to go through to get here, and we all know we spend a lot more time than anybody really realizes. So I do want to thank Don for his service. He's probably laying on a floaty right now in his pool. Not so happy about that.
That's not a
I'd like to be there
picture.
too. Yeah, right. Well, yeah. I also want to mention the recipients of checks today. It's amazing they came here to thank us for the checks, but we should be thanking them for all that they do, especially the ones that are working with kids. We had our Lockport golf outing yesterday, which gives us the ability to give out scholarships. We gave 14 scholarships out to kids this year to go to college. And I just think any organization that could help our future kids is great. And in regards to kids, we've heard a lot of conversation today, but I'm only going to say, every time I look at my 6 grandchildren, I wonder how anybody can vote to eliminate a newborn. I will always be pro-life. I will always vote pro-life. I just don't understand it. On a lighter note, the Cubs and Sox, it's 1-1. We have to wait another 2 weeks to see if somebody can take the lead. And now that it's only 4 games, doesn't give you a lot of leeway on who can win. But a good series, and hopefully the next one will be good as well. And then it's really probably amazingly hard to believe this, but tomorrow is summer. And along with summer comes a lot of things. The last kids that are in school, which are the CPS, they're out tomorrow, which means everybody is out of school at this point. And especially with all the rain we've had, when the sun does come out, They're going to be so full of cabin fever, they're going to be bouncing off the walls, they'll be all over the streets and the parks and stuff. And so for those kids and all the ones that are going to be on vacation, driving all over the place, especially this 4th of July, let's just keep that in mind and keep our eye out a little bit more. Thank you and have a nice holiday.
Thank you. Next up, our board speaker, Ms. Winfrey.
Thank you again, Mr. Executive. I just want to bring to people's minds, some of you may know Ozzie Mitchell. He was a longtime director of Peter Claver Center and a major figure in the martial arts arena around this area. Passed early this morning, so just want to keep that family, Peggy, his wife, and the rest of them in your prayers, thinking about what they've done in the community. We also have our expungement fair on Saturday, so we're looking forward to a good day in spite of the rain, be able to reach out to people from the community and help them get their lives straight. We're thankful for that. And looking forward to a great 4th of July holiday, to just enjoy some downtime. Hopefully it will be sunny. We haven't had any yet. So, and that's all I have, Mr. Executive.
Thank you very much. So, anything be brought before this board? Then we will stand to recess on Thursday, July 18, 2019.